Good afternoon, morning, midday, whatever time it is. We're back. This is Kay Jennings with TCR and
Teresa Jackson.
And we are going to do a brief Child Care Stabilization Grant overview, and we're titling it, Where Do We Go From Here? This is the introduction to the grant supplemental application. It is Form CCWS-B, also known as page 11 in your grant application.
Okay, on this, as you know, in your initial application, it was a two-page application to CCWS-A. After you've done that initially, you will do the B for the remaining 7 quarters. Okay, if you have not done the initial application, you need to do that first. Okay, so we can't process a B application without that A. But on that B application, it's very simple, just your information at the top, sign and date it. So just review that and get that in. Now you can do that via our website. You can fax it, email it, mail it. I don't know if I would suggest mail. We had some late documents come in. Sometimes it took 2 weeks for it to get to us after looking at the postmark. Of course, it was the holidays.
And also that about your checks. If we can say that you had a 2-week delay in getting your application here, if you do a check, a paper check, there's also going to be that chance of delay. So as we move forward, stop, pause us, put it on whatever you need to. Go print out that application packet or go get your application packet. We're not going to show those pages because we want you to get familiar with your application packet. And what better way to do that is just to go get it. And we're going to refer to page numbers and other things as we go through the next 15 to 20 minutes.
Right. Within the next couple of weeks, you will be receiving an envelope from us that will have some general information. It will have our website, our contact information. Where do we go from here? What do we need to do next? What forms do we use? What information do we have to submit to you? So be looking for that in the mail over the next few weeks. We'll also have the payout schedule in there. Be sure and post that somewhere. Those dates are imperative to know. There's only certain times that you can submit applications. You have to follow those dates and you can't be late. So highlight those, mark them on your calendar, whatever you need to do to send in the correct forms. So be looking for that in the mail over the next couple of weeks.
So we wanted to include a slide that talks about, that's got our website on it, that tells you what we're responsible for and where you send stuff. So the next slide is going to be hopefully a slide that includes our region. So if you live in a yellow highlighted region, don't send it to TCR Childcare. You want to send your information to the Alabama Partnership for Children. They're in Montgomery, Alabama. They'll be the ones that will process your application, answer your questions, and do everything that you need. If you are the gray or light blue, the remaining areas in the state, then you're going to send your information to TCR Childcare Corporation.
Okay. As we talked about, the first time applicant, if you submitted your initial application, you're good to go for the next 7 quarters. Just follow that payout schedule. As you see there, it tells you that you'll do the A and the E on that. So be sure and do those. But if after that, for the next 7 quarters, you're going to do that B form. That will be included in our packet we send you. You should have also got that in the mail. And then you will also find that on our website. I will say you do not have to send that in every month. Only send the application during the application window, and that will be on the payout schedule, and that's going to be the B and the E form.
And to go back to that previous slide, that we don't have to go back to that, but anyway, that was for your initial, because we have some programs that did not submit in this initial grant period. So again, if you've not submitted an application, then you need to do that initial paperwork. So that is for those of you who didn't get it submitted and are going to plan on submitting after in the March window. And there is a little window in March that you have to do that. So like Teresa said, put it on the refrigerator, put it on the bulletin board. Better yet, give it to your employees. They won't let you forget. But you'll know, so you'll know when to do your paperwork.
Yes, within each grant period, there is about a 3 to 4 week window. Sometimes I think toward the end there's only a 2-week period. So please refer to those dates. I can't stress that enough. Look at those dates because
little window.
Yes, because if you're late, we're going to have to say, sorry, you missed the deadline, and we're just following the guidance. So just be sure and refer to that. I've got one big calendar in my office with it highlighted. So, and actually I've got one behind me also. So that's how important it is.
The CCSWB, General Provider, this is the one that you're filling out to update. This is not the A form. This is I believe it's page 11 in the grant application. But if we've got the page numbers wrong, just refer to the CCWS-B. The name of the applicant, we've had a lot of questions about, well, who is that? Well, that's the person we need to get on the phone if we have a question. So whoever's filling out the application, if it's Kay Jennings at ABC Center, then that's who the name of the applicant is. That person that can verify hire dates, or if there's something we can't read, or if your facts didn't come through clearly or whatever, that we can get them on the phone to call. Your provider ID. Most of you should have your provider ID by now, especially those of you that went through the first process together with us. We have your provider ID, but don't panic. You can go to the department's website and search licensed child care providers as if you're a parent looking for a center for your child. And when you can put in your zip code to narrow your search, licensed child care providers, and it's going to bring you up or bring up everybody that's listed in your zip code. And then you can go to your center, click on that, and you'll see a lot of laserfish forms that you can go to. When you click on one of those, over to your right is going to be a sidebar, and you can find your provider number there. It is also the number that's associated with your subsidy reimbursement payment that you get from whatever region that you're participating in. Be sure that when you do this, we've said this earlier, if you watched our earlier video, we need you, if you're submitting anything, updating anything, put that provider number on it, and the name of your center as it's listed on your provider's license. Because there's a lot of programs out there that have changed their name and they're giving this new name, but their license still under that original name, and you can't figure out who it is. So it makes it very difficult on our end.
Right, that could delay your application or cause you to be ineligible for that quarter. So it's very important. Okay, just like in the initial application, you've got your full-time staff. Okay, to qualify as full-time, just like on the initial application, staff have to be employed 30 days before the grant period starts. The last quarter started October 1st, so staff had to be employed by September 1st. Again, I refer back to the payout schedule because it's got the date of each quarter that your staff have to be employed by to be eligible. So be sure and look at that. That's another critical date. But full-time staff have to work an average of at least 25 hours or more, actually more than 25 hours per week. Okay, so this may vary. That's why you have to apply every quarter for this grant. Just because you applied initially doesn't mean you get this grant money every quarter. You have to send in the appropriate application and employee roster. You may have a staff that worked full-time in the first quarter during the initial application period, but the next quarter maybe for some reason they had to go part-time or vice versa. Maybe you had somebody part-time in the first quarter and you've had to work a full-time because you've got somebody out on medical leave. So that may change. You may gain staff, you may lose staff. So we have to have those forms, okay? So be sure and note on there that that person's name, what their position is, whether they're full-time or part-time. Please write clearly. Sometimes we got some applications in that we couldn't tell if that person was full-time or part-time.
Your F looks a lot like your P. So please make sure that you're not putting those too close together, that we can tell is that a P or an F. So that will be, we know you're busy and we don't want to interrupt your day calling with questions that could be clarified, but just making sure that your handwriting is
legible, so we don't have to question or pay somebody incorrectly, because we don't want to do that. These people, the staff members, have to be employed. They have to be paid by you, so they have to be on your payroll. Okay, if you got somebody that just comes in and volunteers, they're not eligible. Okay, you're not paying that person. That person.
Well, Teresa, what about the person who comes and cuts the grass? I contract with them.
No.
Are they eligible?
No, ma'am. That's a contract. DHR, if you read the guidance, the department has listed that that person that is on your payroll, as when they come in with licensing, they've got to have a center file there. And as you know, if you read the Child Care Licensing Performance Standards, which was the old minimum standards, that they have to have certain information in there to be eligible to work in that daycare center for you to get your license. So your person that does your yard work, that's somebody you contract out with, that's your lawn service, so they would not be eligible, okay? So they have to actually have a center file there and work in your center and be on your payroll, okay? So please be sure to follow those guidelines.
Part-time staff, a lot of what we've already said applies to part-time staff. They have to work a minimum 16 hours. To 25 hours per week, not per quarter, but that is per week. They have to be on your program's payroll. They have to be employed 30 days prior to the grant period, and you must include their most current hire date. To go back to the previous slide, the current hire date is, we've had a lot of people say, well, I hired this person, they worked for me 2 years and they had to quit for a personal reason, and they were gone for a year, but they've been back now about 90 days, and can I look back? No. It's their most current hire date. So, and like Teresa said, that they have to have that center file. They have to be somebody that if DHR comes in and does an inspection, that you can pull. And when I say inspection, I mean for licensing. If that person doesn't have a file that you would normally pull for them to review, then that's a quick way of saying, nope, they're not eligible.
On that employee roster, it's very important, as you note here, the things that we've listed. One of the most important things is the month and the year. Oh, excuse me, that's for the actual, when you're filling out the form, that is the month that you're actually filling out the form. For this next quarter, it will be January, February, March quarter. The open application period starts February 28th. So if you do yours on February 28th, you're going to put February there. But if you wait till March, it's going to be March of 2022. Have to get used to saying that. So
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. So anyway, that is what the month and the year is up there for. That is the actual month and year that you are completing that application.
Only list employees that qualify. Don't list, if you've got 5 subs that come in maybe once a month and work 8 hours here and there, they don't qualify, so don't list them. We don't have a way of knowing without calling, and we don't want anyone to put your grant, your ability to receive funds in any kind of jeopardy because you're listing employees that do not qualify. Complete all sections, their name, the role, the full-time or part-time, and their hire date. And their role is, we've had a lot of people say, well, what is that their role? If they're your infant teacher, then they're an infant teacher. However you want to list that, if you want to just list it as teacher, if you want to list it as assistant teacher, cook, because your cooks qualify. What role do they play, and how would you normally classify them on a day-to-day work? How they day-to-day, how do you classify them? If you have a small program, then you're just going to need that smaller sheet, that small employee roster that's got the 9 lines. I almost said 9 lives, thinking of cats. But if you have just a smaller program and you have less than 9 employees, you can use that smaller roster. If you have a larger program, which we've gotten several programs that's needed the extra page and then some, you would do the second page, which has the more lines on it. You don't have to do both.
No.
Just do what you need to do to fit the need of your center, and that we don't.
One thing I did notice on the initial application period, that maybe on the first sheet, I think there's 9 lines. Maybe somebody had 10 or 11 and possibly 12. They wrote down at the bottom of that CCWS form, go ahead and use that E1. It was hard to read and line up the dates on staff, and sometimes it made it hard to read the names. So if you got more than 9 staff, go ahead and use that E1 form. That's fine. Don't try and cram it down at the bottom, because it makes it hard to read, and we don't want anything to be messed up with your application.
And moving forward, I think we have time to look at those things. We tried to this time to be gracious, because we knew everybody was rushed, including providers, TCR, Alabama Partnership for Children. That we were what we were having to do to process this was we were starting from scratch. So we were making folders and everything else. But moving forward, our expectation for the center providers and what you guys provide to us, and our ability to make sense of that, is more so going to be on you, because we're providing these training opportunities. We're going to try to update this as much as possible. Anytime there's changes at the state level, anything like that, you're going to get a quick video from us.
All right. There are several ways to submit applications. As this slide shows, you can do your application one of many ways. You can mail it, print it, and mail it. You can email it to us. You can fax it, or you can go to our website. On our website, it has all the forms you need. You can download them. You can fill most of them out online. You cannot complete the W-9 and the ACH form. We did that for security purposes. So you would have to download those if you need to print those. But everything can be filled out on our website there. So you can go there, and any kind of updates, as Kay mentioned, will be posted there. So we'll keep everybody in the loop.
Another good resource that I encourage you to check, especially before you submit your application, or even before you start to fill out your application, is go to the Alabama Department of Human Resources, their website, because they are doing a fantastic job of posting any changes. And as they're going through this and we're processing, they're reaching out to the federal government. And we didn't include this in a slide, but I think it's important for people to know these are COVID dollars that the Department of Human Resources received. And so they're having to follow federal guidelines and getting different interpretations as different questions arise. So as they are getting those answers, They are doing a fantastic job of posting those on their website and getting that information out to us. And as we're able to get in and do a listserv of our providers' emails, then we're going to start forwarding you a lot of information. So I said this in the video we recorded earlier, check your email. We have a lot of people who we've sent multiple requests to and ended up having to send them a paper letter in the mail, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't know I needed to do this. Well, did you check your email? Oh, no, I haven't checked my email. We need you to, and over the next 2 years, almost 2 years, we need you to be really monitoring and looking at your emails so that you can make sure you're getting the most current, up-to-date information.
Right, and check your spam. If you say you didn't get it, check your spam or your junk folder. Add us to your protected or address book so you'll get that information from us. So that's very important.
I don't know if this is, yeah, this is, well, no, it's one of our final slides, is your resources. Your grant application, every time you submit that, that is a valuable resource to you. Don't ever request money or ever submit something for funding and that you don't keep up with that initial application. If you have lost that, let us know now. We'll be happy to scan it back to you. Don't wait till that 3-week window that we're trying to process everybody's application to say, oh, I can't find my initial application. I don't know what to do. Go now. When you watch this video, if you don't have your initial application, you've lost it, you've misplaced it, then send us a request in an email, and we'll get that to you. Call us. I think we've done a really good job of returning phone calls. We've even called programs. I've talked to providers on a Saturday. We've done everything we can to get back in touch with you and to keep that open line of communication. So, do that. We have additional locations. We talked about this in our prior video. If you live in Jefferson County or any of the counties that are surrounding Jefferson County, Child Care Central, there's the address listed for that. Madison County, which is the Huntsville region, there's your information there. Mobile County, if you're in the southern part of the state, we have Child Care South. And then here, Talladega County, TCR, that is our central office. All the programs that we've listed are part of the TCR family. So we have a very direct, close relationship with those offices, and they have done an outstanding job of sending. When you drop something off, they're scanning it and they're sending it directly to you, or to us, excuse me. They're also a resource. We understand a lot of providers may not have access to a copy machine. You may not have access to the internet to download and print this application or any of these forms that you need. You can stop by those offices and get that information. They'll be happy to print that out, provide it to you, whatever you need. They're there. And if you don't live close to one of those offices, just send us an email, give us a call. We have mailed multiple packets out to providers, and we'd be happy to do that again.
All right, where do we go and what do we do now? Okay, so we're still finishing up our initial application period. If you have not completed your initial application, please get that in. You have to do that before you can apply for the subsequent quarters, so be sure and do that. Have you looked at your roster that Kay talked about? Did you keep a copy? Are those staff still employed? If they're not employed, when you got that, received that grant money, you've got to return that grant money to TCR. When you do that, you can do that by check or money order. please be sure to list your center name and address and who the employee is that you're returning that for. The department has said that they want that returned to the vendor, which is TCR, and for this region, and then we have to account for it that way. So please be sure and do that. This money is taxable. We said that in our last video. This is taxable money. So the employee has to pay taxes, and then the employer has to pay their share. So just remember that. And then you have to send your proof of payment that you did pay your staff this money that you requested for. This is a grant, so you are saying that you are going to pay your staff with this money. So you have to send documentation. What is that documentation? It could be a payroll history from your accounting program or payroll program. It could be a copy of check stubs. It could be signed statements by the employee with their name, the date they received it, the amount they received, something to that effect. We have to have proof that those employees did receive that money. So just be sure and do that.
So if you have any other questions or we didn't answer something, and this is the only video you watched, we want to encourage you to go back and watch the video that we posted where we just did some general conversation. It was not a riveting PowerPoint. It was just Teresa and I kind of talking through some of the obstacles that we got to witness during our first process, and questions. We got lots of really good questions from providers, and we hope that we've answered those and then answered them again in this application, but we know it's impossible that we would have answered everything. So take the time, look at both videos. We feel like this is a valuable resource that you can show your staff. We have a lot of programs that have called and said, I want clarification, about these taxes. We've got employees who thought they should have gotten a $1,500 check, and when the taxes were deducted, it was not $1,500. Share this with your employees, because this is nothing that is confidential. It's nothing that they can't see and refer to as well. So moving forward, we look forward to getting to know everybody a little bit more. We hope that we've answered your questions. Again, I'm Kay. This is Teresa. We've talked to a lot of you on the phone, and we've really enjoyed the opportunity. We thank the Department of Human Resources. This was not TCR's idea. This was not, I don't think it was the Alabama Partnership for Children. This was something that was put out by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, where they had some COVID dollars and they wanted to have a positive impact on the workforce, but sometimes goes undervalued. And we want you to know we respect everything you do. I'm a huge advocate for child care. It's something that is vital to the backbone of everything we do. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank you if you're a center director, if you're a center owner, if you're that cook or you're that teacher, caregiver, whatever you may be calling yourself. We certainly appreciate everything you're doing. We look forward to it, and we hope that as we move forward, we'll get additional information for everyone out there, and we will share it as we did it.
And also, as Kay said, you can check the department's website. They've got a really good section also under stabilization grants, just like where our website, where it's located, questions and answers and any kind of information. But thank you for all you do.
Bye.